everybody. Happy Tuesday. I just wanted to jump on here for a quick minute. It's later in the day. I had a great lunch with my sister today and her son come down, my nephew. That was super amazing. And I just figured out I left my water bottle at the restaurant, so I have to run and get that. But I wanted to jump on for a quick second and just say hi. I wanted to thank everybody. All the books are coming in, so people are sending me pictures, and it's so fun. It's so awesome. And actually, I actually had somebody reach out to me today that has read the whole entire book already. Just got it yesterday afternoon, and wanted to leave me a message how much they were blessed by it. So that was just touching in my heart, because obviously that's why I wrote it. And somebody's calling me right now, but they're gonna have to wait. So I just wanted to jump on for a quick minute. I was on a Zoom call last night, and the topic come up: what do I need to work out of me that is keeping the windows of heaven from falling on me and the blessings of God to fall on me? And I thought, you know what, that is such a good question for so many people, because often, we get distracted by lots of things, fear, anxiety, relationship, lost dreams. There's all kinds of lies of the enemy that we believe and we get stuck in, and depression, illness, especially these kids. So, you have to be very intentional of, putting that stuff where it belongs, because God really wants us to reach our potential in Him, and He wants to use us, and, He wants to shower us with blessings. But sometimes, like I've talked about before, we get lost in that stinking thinking. And in that stinking thinking, it's obviously not healthy, and sometimes we can stay stuck there, and obviously that's not a great idea. But when we stay in that stinking mindset, it does block a lot of blessings that God has for us. And I'm reminded by Romans 8:31, if God is for us, who can be against us, right? It doesn't matter who's against us. And I really learned to embrace that in the last few years. Some people don't understand your vision. They don't understand your purpose. They don't understand who you are, how God made you. It's just like, I like to dress up. That's the way God made me. I'm okay with it now at 52 years old to finally embrace it, because it's the most natural thing for me to be me. And, when you realize that really, if we led a life that was pleasing to the Lord and what He wanted us to do, wow, what blessings would come on us, right? And how many people are blocking their blessing by, getting stuck in a depression, or, in a diagnosis, having anxiety, relationship problems, addictions, living in sin. You could list things, by the page. But you know what? God is a good God, and He wants to bless us, and He has miracles with our names on it. And I just wanted to encourage everyone today, whatever it is, whatever your thing is, that it's just like, oh, I can't do that because of this. Some people have had dreams for 20 or 30 years, and they've just not done it because there's this thing, this, blank, fill in the blank, like whatever it is. We all have our thing. And I know even in my own life, I personally, I don't want to public speak. I never wanted to be a writer. There's all these things that it's just like, that's not my thing. Thank you, Jesus, but that's not my thing. But after God touched me and healed me of cancer, my brain did a pivot, and so did my faith. Because when you see God do things like that for you in your life, I was talking to some family yesterday, and it's like, you can't unsee a miracle. So it changes everything about your mindset. So people that are looking from the outside in, they don't understand it, because until they have had, I always say, when God is all you got, you find out He is all you need. So until you face that challenge yourself, where you're fighting for your life, you're the one with the diagnosis, you're the one with the addiction, people don't understand and have a hard time sometimes having compassion for other people, because the church has really turned into, there's a lot of judgmental Christians, and instead of having compassion and forgiveness, sometimes you know, we're very quick to judge someone else's story, even though we have no idea what's happened in their life, you know, we're no idea where they're walked. But I always say when God is all you got, you find out he is all you need. And sometimes it's not until you get to that crossroads where he's stripped everything else away and you go through that refiner's fire, and you know, what a journey that is. And I thought, there's so many people, like, what is it in your life, you know, that's blocking you from your dreams and visions of God just opening up the heavens and letting the blessings come down on you? And of course, I thought of that song I also love. The windows of heaven are open and the blessings are falling tonight. I've got joy, joy, joy in my heart since Jesus made everything right. I gave him my old tattered garments and he gave me a robe of pure white. And I'm feasting on manna from heaven, and that's why I'm happy tonight. And it could go on and on and on. And when I have a piano someday, maybe I'll play it. But it's just like, I love it because you know what? We as Christians, we should be experiencing those blessings coming down on us. And you know, it's not every day is a bed of roses. I'm not saying that, because God never promised that we wouldn't have issues, and we all have our walks in life that, you know, the bumps in the roads that come along. But you know what? God is, you know, our source, and he is where our joy comes from. So if we're constantly in the word and reminding ourselves of that every day, you know, it's amazing what he can use us for and what he can bless us for, and you know, how we can help other people. And I know even myself, like, you know, when we're obedient to move forward of where God wants us, whatever that is, you know, if it's a job, if it's living in a different location, if it's going to this school, if it's doing this as an occupation and going to school for that, you know, being in relationship with this person, whatever it is, if we're obedient in that. And sometimes it's hard to be obedient. Like sometimes we don't want to do that. We don't do that. It's like, I think I was talking on a video before about, you know, we lived in this beautiful mansion an hour away, and we sold it over a year and a half ago, and I didn't want to move at all. It was beautiful, had everything I could ever want. It was picture perfect, magazine quality. Henry Ford ate in my dining room all the time. It was stunningly beautiful. Had a grand piano, had a baby grand piano. Now I have no piano. But you know what? God talked to my husband and I at different times. And I think I told this story about my husband calling me from work and said he needed me to pray about something. And I was like, okay, what? And he said, I'm not going to tell you. You need to pray about it, and God will give you something, and I want you to write that down on a piece of paper. And I'm going to do the same, and we'll compare pieces of paper tonight. Well, no stress, eh? Like, wow, okay. So I prayed. And all I kept getting was sell the house. And I'm like, no, God, not selling the house, but anything else. So let's, you know, so we always have our own agenda, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, God, that's great, but I'm not going to quite listen to that because that's not what I want. So I'm going to inject in my flesh here what I think you know, whatever it is. But you know what? All day long I prayed. He didn't give me anything else. So I wrote that down on a piece of paper, put it on this table. Guess what his piece of paper said? Sell the house in September. Mine said sell the house. So we put up the house for sale. Did everybody think we were crazy? Yeah, of course they did. Because you know what? God did not do a conference call, and he didn't tell everybody else. He just talked to my husband and I. But in that obedience, going through that, because it's all just stuff, beautiful house, but it doesn't matter. We can't take it with us. It doesn't matter one thing about eternity. Where you live, what you got, all your earthly treasures, it doesn't matter. So we were obedient. We sold the house. And you know, after a month after we moved, Madison received her miracle. And I'm convinced if we weren't obedient, I don't think God would have blessed us with that miracle. So sometimes in our obedience, God does things that bless us beyond what we ever can think or imagine. Yes, I miss my house. It was a beautiful, gorgeous place. It was, you know, no, you couldn't have asked for anything nicer. But do you know what? My daughter has a miracle, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. I'd sleep in a ditch and, you know, live in a tent to see that happen. So you know what? God is you know, I always say he's never early, he's never late, he's always on time every time. And he has good plans for us. Just like Jeremiah 29:11 says, you know, I know the plans I have for you, Connie, and they're good. Sometimes we just have to trust him and put our faith in him and be obedient and not block those blessings coming down from heaven, because we're his children. He really wants to bless us. You know, I'm a daughter of the King, and you know what? I want to be blessed. I want to walk in everything that God has for me. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with people, because I know I've talked to a lot of people the last few days, and people go through stuff. People are going through stuff, and so many people need a shift in so many things. And you know, they're maybe just down and anxious and depressed, and just need a little bit of joy and a little bit, you know, just a token from heaven. It's just those blessings falling from heaven, you know. So you know, be encouraged. You know that God's plans are good, and he has great, you know, things in store for you, that he just wants you to be obedient and walk in faith and in step with him and trust him, you know, and then, you know, we're going to live in the overflow. So there we go. So that's all for today anyway. So I'm just going to sign off and say happy Tuesday. And I got some exciting news for tomorrow. I'll be back on. And you know what? In my obedience, as much as it's a stretch for me and totally ever out of my comfort zone, it's like God just never keeps amazing me and blowing my mind with the things that he is doing. And some things I can share, some things I can't share. But you know what? It's just like that tiny little bit of obedience. He just opens the floodgates, and it's just amazing. It's just like little is much when God is in it. And like I always say, when he's in it, we're in it to win it. So signing off, happy Tuesday.